This is my life. This is my passion. This is Ike's Outdoors. Hey guys, Ike here from IkesOutdoors.com. In this video, I'm going to do a little year-end review for 2012. It's December 27th, 28th, about right now. So we've got just a few days till the year is over, and 2013 products are already starting to roll out, but I want to go do a quick video and just show you, now not everything that we reviewed, but some of the things that we've reviewed that I liked, and kind of the state of where they are now. The first thing we're going to start with are the bows, and you're going to have to forgive me, I'm going to be doing some twisting and turning, and looking down, I've got a tablet here in front of me, my Kindle that I've got a bunch of information on, so I can't keep all this in my head. So, first bow that we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about each one of these briefly and just basically what I liked and didn't like about them in the long run. Because, you know, testing one thing for a week and then testing it for several months afterwards, you find a few things. And that's some of the things that you run into with being a reviewer is, man, this product was great initially, and then, you know, it just seems so good. And it doesn't happen very often. But every now and then it does happen where we review something, and with the first 2 months, boy, it's great. And then 3-4 months down the line, we start finding flaws with it, and we start running into trouble with it. And that's a lot of the things. The prime example of that is the Peep Sight eliminator products that I run into. I loved them. I love them at the beginning, and then I constantly nitpick it apart, and finally I went back to a Peep Sight. So that's just an example, but sometimes happens with bows as well. The first bow that I'm going to talk about is the Bengal Pro from Martin. Really liked that bow. Shot quite a bit. Performed very good. Held up to everything like we talked about in the tests. Really wasn't disappointed in anything with that bow except for the strings. I was constantly having to tune that bow, readjust the string because it just kept on stretching, and I really had a hard time tuning it because that string just kept on stretching and getting it to where I wanted it, and finally I just gave up on it. It needs a brand new set of strings. The factory strings are not up to my quality. The Peep Sight that I use is a G5 Meta Peep or something similar, Fletcher Peep, something along those lines, and it just really didn't meet up to my quality as far as the strings go. Now the rest of the bow, great. I had no complaints about the rest of the bow at all. I mean, absolutely held up to everything in the test except for the strings. Just never could quite get those things to stop stretching. The New Breed Lichen, we tested that earlier this year and absolutely fell in love with that bow. Absolutely loved that bow. It was my favorite bow of the year, hands down. Really liked it, just shot great for me, and I ended up hunting with it this year and ended up shooting a couple deer with it. Complete pass-throughs on it, the bow performed great, the quality of it, you know, it held up great. No complaints about that bow at all, just absolutely loved it, and stupidly I let someone talk me out of it and I sold it. So it's the right time, I was in the right place at the wrong time because I had just lost my job and someone offered me some money for it. So unfortunately I sold that. So the other bow that we're talking about, I've got the Insanity CPX, and you can see I've got it behind me. This is the one that I hunted with and killed a couple deer with it and really had good success with it. Held up real well to everything in the testing, had absolutely zero issues with it. No flaking. I did have a little bit of flaking on the limbs, but nothing bad. As far as tuning wise, man, the bow tuned out great, stayed in tune, and just absolutely shot fantastic all year long. And I got complete pass-throughs with it as well on every deer that I shot. So I had real good luck with it, real good success with it, and had no complaints about it at all. The Insanity CPXL, the longer version of it, I've got it actually in my bow cabinet here, and shot some 3D with it. I didn't ever hunt with it, but I got it set up for hunting, and I let my brother use it, and he hunted with it a little bit, but never took a deer with it. But had it set up for 3D shooting and really loved that bow. I mean, overall, if I didn't have the CPX, I would have hunted with it without any reservation, without any hesitation, because it's a really good overall bow, where I think the CPX for me was a really good hunting bow, the CPXL to me felt like a really good overall bow. I could hunt with it. It's got enough speed that I can, even with my low poundage short draw weight, I can get complete pass-throughs on animals and good blood trails. And it's stable enough and shoots well enough, that accurate enough that I can go out and shoot at a high level of competitiveness on a 3D circuit, which the CPX you can as well too. It's one of the most accurate bows that I've ever shot that has a 6-inch spray sight. But if I had the choice between the two, strictly for an overall bow, the CPXL would have been it. So another bow that I hunted with was the Prime Shift. Took it on a hog hunt earlier this year, and you can watch the video on that. And just, man, that bow performed great, and just absolutely performed awesome. Hit that hog right in the shoulder, got a complete pass through on him. Everything except about that much of the arrow went through him. Hog went about 40 yards and laid over and died. So just absolutely fell in love with that bow. Tuning was great on it. I did have one minor issue with that bow, and the customer service was fantastic. The tie glide has a ceramic insert in it, and where my cables came through, that ceramic had cracked, and one of my cables came through and it cut my cable. It didn't cut it in half, but it cut it enough that I was pretty alarmed. And so I called Prime on that, and they sent me out a new one just like that. I mean, and a new cable to go with it. Customer service was fantastic, and they said, you know, we do have an issue with this every now and then, but it's not a common occurrence. It was one or two of them, and I just happened to have one that did it. But other than that, bow performed great. That dual sync cam with a dual cam on top, absolutely no cam lean on it. Like I said, tuning that thing was fantastic. Shot great and hunted really well. I mean, really had a lot of success with it hog hunting. The next bow was a Rytera Alien XT. This is a bow we actually ended up giving away, and gave it away to I can't remember his name now, but we did a giveaway on this for most deserving person. You had people send us emails. We ended up giving this bow away, and it really hurt me to give it away because that bow was a shooter. Now it was one of the best Martin Rytera bows that I've ever shot, and I gave it away and replaced it with the Bengal Pro, which I liked the Rytera a little bit better. Didn't have as much string stretch issues, and it shot just a little bit faster. But we ended up giving that. Tim Wilson was the guy's name. We ended up giving it to Tim Wilson, and Tim ended up going out and killing a nice 9-point with it. So you know, the giveaway was very rewarding for us, because we got to meet a lot of new people and hear from a lot of new people and hear some good stories as well. And it was good for Tim. You know, he got a good bow. His last bow, actually, he had one that the limb was duct taped together, and I really didn't want him shooting that. So we ended up giving that to Tim, and Tim was lucky enough to go out and harvest a deer with it, and absolutely loves the bow, the same as I did. I absolutely had no issues with that bow at all. Loved it, and string stretch on it was not as bad as what it was on that Bengal Pro. But that was my one complaint about the Martins, is it seems like the strings on them just have a lot of stretch to them. The last bow, or another bow we're going to talk about, we did the High Country Extreme or Supreme Pro, which is one of their target bows. Very accurate bow, good speeds for a target bow. Really liked that thing for strictly a 3D bow. Man, that thing was really nice. I ended up sending that one back to High Country just because I'm not strictly a 3D shooter. I like a little bit shorter axle to axle. But as far as performance-wise and things like that, I had no complaints about on the bow at all. It absolutely performed great. That cam was putting out a great speed and just deadly accurate. Was really just wadding arrows together with that bow. Like I said, the only reason I sent it back was because it was strictly a 3D bow. So, you know, I felt strictly a 3D bow. I don't like to hunt with a bow that long. So, I ended up sending it back. And I do own a High Country bow. This bow right back here, we're going to show you in a little bit, is a High Country X11. So we'll end up showing you that. I actually didn't do a review on that this year, but I sent the Supreme Pro back and ended up buying this X11, and I've actually shot and hunted with it and really, really like this bow. And you can tell the kind of bows that I actually ended up buying, actually bows I ended up owning of the ones I review, are the ones that are geared more toward hunting, and the ones that are just a little bit quicker because of my short draw length and my my lower poundage that I shoot. I don't go after a bow that's a barn burner for sure, but I do ended up owning and liking the bows that are a little bit faster for hunting because I'm strictly a hunter. So Another one we did this year was the Hoyt Vector Turbo, and to tell you the truth, it's been so long since I've done that one. I shot it at a shop and just shot it for maybe an hour, and that was about it. So just don't have a whole lot to say about it, but I do remember the cams were nice, cams were smooth, and it was a very good bow overall. I don't remember anything bad about it, but as far as longevity of being able to test it out for a long period of time and give you real good, accurate information about it, I can't really do that because, like I said, I only shot it for about an hour, and then I had to give it back, unfortunately. So that's the bows that I tested this year, and I actually ended up keeping and shooting the Lycan, the Rytera, the Bengal Pro, the Insanity, CPXL and CPX, the Prime Shift, and the High Country. I ended up getting a High Country X11. So, and I had real good luck with all of them. Have absolutely zero complaints about them. Of those bows, my favorite bows was the Lycan. I really like that Lycan, and that's a completely personal choice. I just like it because it fit me and shot well for me. This Insanity CPX behind me has seen a lot of arrows out of it as well. Just absolutely love that bow. It's a really close second on my favorite bows. The High Country that I've got behind me, like I said, I never did a review on it, but bought it, just really enjoy shooting it. It's got an awesome draw cycle to it. Just really good draw cycle overall, and you know, probably third on my list overall for my favorite bows. So, and then the Prime Shift, probably number 4, just did a great job. Absolutely no complaints about that bow. Just only thing I didn't like about it was the handle was a little clunky, but and a little heavier than some of these others. But that's kind of my favorite rundown of my favorite bows for the year. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is some of the products that we've tested this year. First one I've got here in front of me is the V-Pack from 30-06. I'll show you this up here. And I actually replaced my old hunting bag with this year, and love it. Very comfortable bag, fit all my gear in here without any problems as far as room goes, and very comfortable to carry. No problems with my shoulders, no matter how much weight I put in there. And that's saying something because I got bad shoulders from riding bulls and stuff like that. So the only thing that I did have a problem with it was this strap right here. When it comes over the top, it buckles in. The buckle actually broke off of there, and you can see I've got it. The buckle actually came unsewed in the front. I'll show you here. You can see right there, it just came unsewed and it broke. But I was putting a lot of clothing on top of there, and just put it under too much pressure. But so other than that, the pack performed great and was very comfortable along the way. The next thing is the bow and gear cabinet that's actually behind me. One complaint about that is I don't have enough stuff to fill it up. That's my only complaint. I got to buy more stuff to fill it up. It's really nice because I've actually got 4 bows in it right now. I've got the 2 on the outside that I'm hunting with primarily, and I've got my CPXL and the Martin inside of here. So 4 bows in there. I've got a bunch of arrows in there. I've got all my knives and all my gear in the top, and it fits right here into my office, and I've got it bolted down to the floor and bolted to the wall, and very secure, very safe place for me to keep all my stuff. And I can keep all my archery stuff right here without having to have it in my desk or in my gun cabinet or out in my shop or different stuff like that. So it's really great, and has worked out really well for me. I really like the bow and gear cabinet, and that's from Stack On. So really happy with that. It's the Buck Commander bow cabinet and the Buck Commander gear cabinet on top. The next thing is the Firebox stove, which I've got over here. Like I said, you're going to have to forgive me because I got a pretty disorganized desk here, and here's the Firebox stove, which we did just recently, and I've been using it quite a bit here recently. Been cooking squirrels on it and stuff like that, and been using it. Just, it's nice in this wintertime. I love to go out and start a fire and just sit around the fire, you know. So it's really cool for that. So really like the Firebox stove, and it's so far it's turned out to be everything that it's advertised that it was. The next thing we'll talk about here is the Bowfinger 2.0. This is what I use to film all of my hunts, and absolutely no complaints about this thing at all. This is the one that's actually from last year, and you can see it's still tight. Man, it still rolls tight, still holds position good, and just absolutely, I've tried a lot of other camera mounts, and this is absolutely the best one that I've ever tried, and one that I recommend. I have used another one from Insane Archery that's not bad, you know. It has a little bit more vibration to it than the Bowfinger, and I like it. I've used it a little bit, but my my camera mount of choice and the one I film all of my hunts with is this one right here, the Bowfinger 2.0. And I'm actually testing out the Bowfinger 3.0 right now, so we'll have that footage up for you here shortly and talk about it. It's a camera mount for your iPhone or your smartphone, I should say. So that's the camera mount that I use. Anytime you see footage with my arrow sticking out the front, it's been filmed with this in combination with my Kodak PlaySport. So there's that, the Bowfinger. And the next thing is the Bowfinger, actually another Bowfinger product that I've got on my X11 here. See if I can do this without spilling my tea there. I got the Medusa right here on my X11. Very good product. Really like the design of it. I love the drop away rest. It's about all I use. And I've been using on this X11. Tuned out easy. You can see there's the Bowfinger 3.0 right there. So there's your little sneak peek of that. Tuned out easy. Setup was easy on it. Reliability. I mean, I've been using it on this bow all year long, and it's been reliable. Stayed set up. Stayed in time. Hasn't had any problems with it coming out of time. Machining on it's good. I've met absolutely zero issues with it working, even though it's been out in inclement weather and stuff like that. So, and it's a really good complement to this High Country X11. Works really great for this with this bow, and it's worked really good with all the bows that I've had it on.